Criticism of the Biden administration's handling of the crisis is coming mostly from Republicans. But Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips is one of the few Democrats raising questions. I spoke to him a short time ago. And Congressman Phillips joins us now. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good to be with you, Esme.
All right. You are, of course, on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and you have raised some concerns about what has happened in Afghanistan. You're really one of the few Democrats that put it out there. As a member of that committee, what answers do you have? What questions do you have about what's happened?
Well, Esme, first, as a Gold Star son of the Vietnam War, I lost my birth father, Artie, during the Vietnam conflict, and like the 58,000 families that suffered that time. Now we have 2,300 plus families suffering losses from Afghanistan, wondering if it was worth it, wondering why the greatest nation on earth can't seem to learn its lessons. This is not a Democratic failure or a Republican failure. It's an American failure. And on the Foreign Affairs Committee, we have a distinct responsibility to assess what went wrong. Most importantly, ensure that we don't make those same mistakes moving forward. But I will say, Esme, that our most important work at this very moment shouldn't be throwing stones, casting blame. It should be ensuring that every single American that remains in Afghanistan that is seeking an exit and refuge, not to mention those who supported our efforts for so many years, are able to get out of the country. That is our foremost, most important responsibility. After that, we will assess very deeply what went wrong, hold those to account who should be, and ensure that we do better next time. And that also includes, Esme, the United States Congress taking a more pronounced role in managing through these conflicts in the future. We should have debated, deliberated, and approved the Trump withdrawal plan. And I think we should have done the same with the Biden execution of that plan. Congress has a responsibility to play a bigger role to ensure these things do not happen the way it's transpired this time around.
Let me ask you, you almost single-handedly appeared to have tried to get people out of Afghanistan. You were one of the first members of Congress to put on your Twitter feed your office phone number, and you ended up getting phone calls from around the country. Your wonderful staff was kind of overburdened. Tell us about that.
Yeah, almost 1,600 people now. We have helped add to the list of the State Department to help exit Afghanistan. But Esme, it's important to note that that's not me doing it. Yes, I tweeted it. Yes, I'm advocating. Yes, I'm doing as much as I possibly can. But I want to salute my extraordinary staff who have been doing extraordinary work since August 14th, have helped 7 families get out of Afghanistan. We have about 50-some open cases with over 450 individuals currently on which we're working. And this is playing out in Democratic and Republican offices all across the country, especially young staffers doing some of the most important work they may ever do in their careers right now because lives are on the line. And I want to salute them throughout every office in the country, everybody working their very best to do what's right and uphold our honor and obligation.
There have been 2 big budget bills, or 2 big spending bills up for consideration, the budget bill and also the infrastructure bill. You have raised concerns from the start that small businesses have not gotten a fair shake there. You made a statement recently that suggests maybe your mind has changed, but what is your concern there?
No, my mind has not changed. A lot of small businesses did get support and a fair shake. The problem is there are hundreds of thousands that have not yet because we did not allocate enough resources to accommodate their needs. Restaurants and gyms, the live events industries, hospitality, there are industries that have been shut out of the relief programs. And I believe we have a responsibility and obligation to ensure equity and fairness in these programs. I spoke with the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, 2 times before our votes in Washington last week, made it clear that a small business relief package was integral if she hoped to secure my support for those initiatives. And I received assurances that we will be working on those during the coming weeks and do what is right at a time of some distinct need in the small business world.
You were very involved in a bill passed that has to do with trade and China, and you had a number of measures that were included in that House bill. One of them was a concern and more oversight and reporting on the fentanyl trade in China and how it affects people here in Minnesota and across the country. Tell us about that.
Well, we have to acknowledge the truth. Our policies over some generations now, again, not Democratic failures, Republican failures, American failures in policy, have advantaged China in ways that are very detrimental to the American economy, to American people, and in the case you just referenced, fentanyl and other drugs, there as well. It is time that we regain our stature. The Congress has to stand up and affect policy that level the playing field. I'm tired of American businesses being ripped off, their IP stolen, the hurdles to do business in China are growing by the day. While we try to level the playing field around the world, China is taking advantage of it. And I do not want to have an enemy in China. We do not need to have an enemy in China. It will be a competitive relationship, but it is time that we level set things and ensure that our policies protect Americans, American businesses, and Americans from terrible drugs like fentanyl.
Well, Congressman Dean Phillips, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Esme.